I have grown, I've matured very, very much, and rejections don't bother me that much anymore because it doesn't mean I'm not good. It means maybe this opportunity is not good for me at this time, or it's because that there's something better coming on the way. And even if there's no reason for the rejection, that's fine. It's part of life, and just not let it affect my self-esteem. And because I know myself so well that I will not allow somebody's rejection define me.
Hello, and welcome to Inspire Her podcast, where we share inspiring stories and valuable insights from remarkable individuals who are making a difference today. And in today's episode, we're going to continue our special sub-series featuring mid and late career female professionals who have navigated their careers and made difficult decisions along the way. So today's episode is titled Translating Passion into Activism. And today we have a very, very special guest in the person of Gertrude Asumadu. Hope I pronounced that very well. Welcome, Gertrude. Gertrude is an award-winning activist and campaigner with extensive experience in international affairs, policy, advocacy, and campaigns related to education, poverty, HIV/AIDS, climate change, and gender equality. That's very, very large, very well-rounded. So I imagine we'll be having an interesting conversation today. She has worked with prominent organizations such as the One Campaign, Christian Aid, Child Org, UNICEF, Restless Development, Amnesty International, and UNDP Asia. She is also the co-founder and executive director of the Global Activist Network. Once again, welcome, very warm welcome to you, Gertrude. So Gertrude, thank you so much for joining us today. I think to start off, we would like to know a little about your background and what initially inspired you to get involved in activism and education. And I believe there are so many things there, so I will just generalize it as activism.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me to be on this podcast. I appreciate it. So, just like you said, my name is Gertrude Asumadu. I'm a young woman, a young African woman from Ghana, West Africa, living in the UK. I've been in the UK for the past 12 years. Did my bachelor's degree in economics at the University of Leeds. And I proceeded to doing my master's degree at Leiden University in the Netherlands, where I specialized in public administration and international and European governance. So that's a bit of my background and about what inspired me or initiated me into this whole activism journey. Well, in 2016, when I finished with my bachelor's degree, I did economics, like I said, and I was looking for like a career path or what to do with myself after my degree. And I knew for a fact that I wasn't going to go down the route of economics, finance as expected, because to be honest, I knew I wasn't going to enjoy if I chose that career path. So I took a year out between 2016 and 2017. And I think what started this whole thing was when I chanced upon the One Campaign's call for youth ambassadors. So the One Campaign has this program, and I think in Nigeria it's called the One Champions. So in the UK and in other European countries, they have the youth ambassador program where they recruit young people like myself, like yourself, with like a voice or with a passion to advocate for change or to campaign on global issues like poverty, like inequality, and you know climate change and what have you. So I chanced upon it and I applied, and I actually applied a year before and I wasn't successful. So I applied again in 2016 and early 2017. I got the opportunity to be on the program. And what intrigued me about the program was the fact that, I felt it was a good opportunity as a young person just fresh out of uni looking for like an opportunity to excel, to can impact in the lives of people in the real world, to like join that and see how it goes. So I joined, and I was brought up to speed on some of the campaigns that we were going to um, lend our voices to. And at the time, I remember it was the poverty sexist campaign. So that campaign was generally just saying like, girls' education should be prioritized, especially in developing and underdeveloped economies, because when girls are educated, when girls are empowered, they contribute towards eradicating poverty, abject poverty in their countries, in their communities, and so and so on. So that was being on that campaign especially was monumental for me, because even though I had the opportunity to have a good education thanks to my parents and my family, not I know for a fact within my community growing up in Ghana that not everyone had that same opportunity, and people get sacked, and have to drop out of school because their parents can afford not even just the school fees, but the basic necessities for them to be stable, to have a kind of like a stable school journey. So I didn't experience that, but I saw people experience that, and I believe it was unfair, because education is not a luxury, it's a right, it's a human right. So being on that campaign lended me the opportunity to add my voice. I found myself in my local MP's office for the first time. I'd been in Leeds in north of England for like 5 years, and I'd never seen I didn't even know who my MP was until I joined this the One Campaign Youth Ambassador program as of 2017. So I started developing a relationship, an acquaintance sort of relationship with my MP, and which really paid off a lot till now. And then also saw myself in the European Parliament in Brussels with other youth ambassadors, going there for the One Youth Summit, and to just say that, girls' education important, girls matter, and, you should add your voice, you should campaign or you should advocate for them, you should vote for an increase in funding towards their education. So my inspiration to education, to get involved in education and activism, was just out of a desire to contribute towards leaving a legacy and making a positive impact in society, especially towards the lives of people back home, back in Africa, back in my country, Ghana, on some of these global issues. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much, Gertrude. I mean, you've already given us such a very, very big picture, very full light. And I like the fact that, you stated there that some of this journey came after, school, after your first degree, and realizing that, okay, perhaps after picking that degree, that might not necessarily be what I wanted to do at the end of the day. And finding yourself after, I think a lot of us can very, very well relate to that. Right. And so just to move into the next question, obviously you've already told us how you've gone from studying public administration and economics to being an influential activist, right? And I think that in itself is already it's enough, it's already inspiring enough for people to take back. But you've also given us, like I said, the full picture. But I would like you to just share some like pivotal, very niche moment that you think made all the difference for you. At what point did you think, okay, activism is where I wanted to go to? Or perhaps the one organization is somewhere that I want to join? Or what at what point do you think, or what is it exactly you think that you did that probably made you a very good candidate for that and started that whole journey for you? Are there any specific moments or experience that you can share that you can say helped shape rather that experience?
So I studied economics. My choice for studying economics was just basically because economics was one of my very favorite subjects in secondary school. So I was curious. I wanted to know, beyond that, like secondary school level, like, what was in it for me. And it was one of the it remains one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life. And I look back and I ask myself, did I really make the right decisions to study this? Because I also like subjects that are expressive, like, because I did history in secondary school as well as an elective, history, French, economics, and literature. So I like subjects that allow me to, engage like with my critical thinking skills, like critically analyze situations and, prefer like my own judgment at the end of the day. But economics is kind of slightly different. It's like a numbers sort of course or a degree. But then regardless, I still decided to pursue that at the University of Leeds for 3 years. So like I said, I finished and I realized that, for a career, to choose a career path for me, even though the money aspect is important, of course, if let's say I was working with the Bank of England with one of the big four, which is PwC, Deloitte, EY, KPMG, or what have you, yes, I would have been earning lots of money at the end of the day. But for me, even at that young age of about 22 years, I was more about following something that I really want to do. Like I wake up in the morning and I would be passionate about doing, not just go sit down in an office or raking in numbers or whatever, just to get in a salary, which is also not wrong, but because we live in a world today where money does a lot of things. Money is very important, so you cannot exclude that, like, from the conversation. But personally, I want to leave my name in the sands of time. I want to die empty. I want to do things that will bring positive change in the lives of people. So I wanted to choose a career path, even if no matter like how long it would take for me to get there or the challenges I'll face or the backlash or whatever I get from my family. Those are the questions that I posed to myself after 2016, after degree. And I found myself on this path where I was attending conferences. I saved money to attend some of these events, which some of them were costly, but I still did it because like I was looking for something. I was on a mission, and I was meeting people. I was having conversations. I found myself in New York at the UN headquarters attending a youth assembly in 2017, early 2017. I found myself in Austria in the summer school. I found myself somewhere in France later on, and I found myself in US as well, attending another women's event. And later on in 2017, came back to the UK and I found myself in Belgium with youth ambassadors at the European Parliament in Brussels. So like all these and like in also in Qatar in late 2016 for a research conference. So all these like experiences was kind of like making me, not that I wasn't interacting with people in university. I actually did a lot, but outside university, like I was on my own. I wasn't covered by my faculty, sending me opportunities or asking me to do this. But this was kind of me doing everything by myself, like from my own pocket. So it had its, positives and negatives, but I was more interested in the positives, like what I was looking for. So when I finally decided to stick with a career path in advocacy, in campaigning, in policy, I then decided to like kind of like gear towards that kind of that path specifically, and then read out the rest that I did earlier. So yeah, that also saw me work with the One Campaign continually, and I also did some work, like I said, with Restless Development, a youth stop AIDS program where we're advocating for MPs and politicians here in the UK, and that like took me to Parliament as well. And I also found myself working with Child.org, which is also an organization geared towards ending maternal mortality. I think their station is basically mostly in Kenya. So I did some sort of like campaign with them, and I was on a 9 month journey with them on this specified course as well. So all that was within that window period of like 2017 and 2019. So at a point I told myself that okay, I've done all this, like I've gained all these experiences. Now what next? So I was looking into doing, because I always knew that I would do a master's program. That was always has always been in the picture. So I started looking at, and another bit of me is like I'm very adventurous. I apart from trying out new things related to my career and personally too, I like traveling and exploring, meeting new people as well. So I decided not to do my master's in the UK, but to go somewhere in Europe. So I chanced upon, I actually had a friend already who had told me about Leiden University, and I read about it, their courses, and I was like, okay, this could work for me. So I applied for the MPA program, Masters in Public Administration, and I got accepted. So I decided to specialize. They had three tracks or three specialization, which was public management and leadership, in economics and governance and international and European governance. Because I already had an economics background, I wasn't really sure about doing economics and governance, but I was interested in international and European governance. So that's kind of like a broad, we are not only dealing with European like centric like topics or program, but we are also looking outside Europe, which is international. So that appealed to me because that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to, build my career on an international basis to an international audience. So I chose that course, and it was a 1 year, very intense course. And it was challenging, of course. It's a master's program. It's not going to be, that easy. And by God's grace, I finished within exactly a year. I wrote my thesis on, I did a comparative analysis on the education sector in Uganda. I chose an African country specifically because I'm all for things like Africa. So I compared the Millennium Development Goals era, which is the MDG between 2000 and 2015, and the SDGs era, which is the Sustainable Development Goals from 2015 to currently. And I just like did a comparative analysis of like how far they achieved their educational targets in that era and like this current era. And it was also an eye-opening experience for me as well as a daunting experience for me as well. And unfortunately, I also graduated within the COVID era in June 2020. So that was also another challenge as well. But like I said earlier, for me, I was just like, fixated on my goals while I was doing this. Why am I here? Left UK with all the good universities there, and to come here, but, to Leiden as well, which is also an equally good university. So I finished that and, uh, then again, what next for me? What next in this kind of career path that I've chosen for myself? And as you may know, COVID, changed a lot of things. People lost their lives, people lost their jobs. It just caused a whole lot of mess in the system. But I was focused to kind of like try and apply the knowledge that I've gained so far, not just from my education, but from the experiences that I've gathered on the side to translate into like a career in policy or in graduate programs with some of these international institutions like World Bank and anybody who was hiring, which was also very challenging. But that's I don't want to like lengthen the my submission here. Maybe we'll get to that later on. But for me, these kind of experiences, being in Leiden, for a year it seemed short, but it was also impactful because there I also got to meet people on my course from different backgrounds. And, while I was working together on certain modules, on certain courseworks, we get to share our experiences, and also got to attend some career workshops there organized by the university. I also got to be a course rep for my course as well. And all these kind of opportunities and interactions with students, with staff. And I remember the notes that I received in my because we didn't have a graduation because of COVID. So my certificate was posted to me, and when I opened my certificate, I had a note from my thesis supervisor, which was kind of sweet that she enjoyed working with me on my topic, and to see the passion and the drive that I had for the topic. She wishes me all the best, and she can't wait to see what I achieve with that and all that. So that was kind of sweet because I actually didn't know like she thought that of me, because the whole thesis process was a bit draining, like actually. But it was kind of nice to see that even when you don't mean to, people kind of like you get people get inspiration from you and are inspired by you, or like they look up to you in one way or the other. So yeah, for me, I take like this whole journey from 2016 to, should I say, 2020 at the time as the kind of like the pivotal experiences or moments that I gathered, from engaging in all those volunteering activities, which, sometimes also can be draining, because you're using your voice, your energy, your time, your resources towards these causes, and you're not paid, obviously. Like it's not it's difficult because I'd finished uni and I was expected to work. And if you're an African, you can kind of relate, like you're expected to work, bring an income home, and here you are, and you're doing all these things. You're traveling to London today for this event, you're going to Parliament tomorrow, you're on this call, you're doing all these things. And it's even personal, not even for my family side, like it became a bit draining at a point, because at the same time I was also applying for jobs and opportunities, like, but I was just not successful at the time. So but I don't regret any of them, actually. I think it's all like part of my story, and I'm always delighted to share it, because it's part of my life journey, and it's all molded me into like who I am today. So I'm grateful for all the opportunities, all the experiences, and the ones that are to come as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that your story, and just again giving us this particular experiences that we can sort of take back and see how we can practicalize it in our own lives, and just see how we can also then perhaps find key times or experiences in our lives that could perhaps mold our futures. And I like the fact that you clearly put out there that you need to be out there. We need to also push ourselves out there. All these things wouldn't have happened if you decided to stay in one place, or close your door, or not probably network or reach out to people around you. And so I think that's a key thing that I took out of this, and what I think people can take out of this as well, is to just really put yourself out there and utilize the human resource and the human network that you have. And yeah, really just listen to the feedback that people are saying. People are saying these things not just because they want to say it, but perhaps there's something that we can also take out of some of this engagement. And I'm hoping that this podcast will be such engagement for other people as well. So just thank you for really, really, really sharing all that experiences. And so you've talked about how you've worked with a lot of really diverse ranges of organizations on different aspects, different sectors, different areas of need, education, poverty, etc. Right? And so how do you think this roles at this organization has influenced your approach to activism in its actual sense? So now that I know that you also have established your own activism network, you probably have done activism on your own as well, and just your outlook generally to how to approach activism, how to fight for change, how to help people that need it within the environment that you have, or within the environment that you are in. And so I'm just trying to understand how these organizations, right, gave you or added to your unique approach on activism.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I'll always give credit to the one campaign, because that is where I started like my journey in January 2017. So and from that, like, I moved on to other working with other organizations. So I'll just start by saying that activism can be draining, and it can be draining because you're here, or you're in the diaspora, or in a developed country, and you're trying to go meet your MP. You're trying to, add your voice to global issues that are beyond you, way, way beyond you. Because if I say, oh, I'm joining a campaign, which is the poverty sexist campaign, like to end poverty, like how can I, me, a single person, like end poverty? That is sort of like impossible, because unfortunately for me, in as much as I believe in the things that I add my voice to a campaign on, I also, at the back of my mind, I can understand that these issues are just beyond me meeting my MP and asking him to write to the parliament or talk about this in parliament, and you know receiving a response from the chancellor or the minister of development, international development office, and all that. It's way beyond that. So it's draining in the sense that you're putting in your effort, you believe in this cause, you're championing, you're trying every way possible to do what you can do. But then at the end of the day, yes, it may have some impact, but is it really the impact that I want? Like, the answer is no. So with the one campaign, it's the youth ambassador program. When I joined, it opened my eyes, and like I said, that was my first time of meeting my MP in October 2017. And I like the idea of, getting young people like ourselves, like myself, to actually engage with my MP on such a high level, because I'm not talking about something within my community or my constituency that I don't like. That is a local issue. And that actually, requires my MP's attention because he's supposed to represent me in parliament. But yeah, I am like a young African woman living in the UK and wanting to see my MP on an issue that has nothing to do with Leeds or where I live. So that requires a different kind of approach, a different kind of confidence, public speaking, engagement. So that I remember the first time I finally and meeting my MP, or the process was not as smooth as, I would probably talk about like, oh yeah, I met my MP, but the calls, the emails, and all that you go through, someone may give up. And I would not blame people if they give up, because I remember some of my fellow youth ambassadors did not get to see their MPs at the time because they just wouldn't want to see them, or they don't care about the issue that we are campaigning on, which is understandable to an extent. But I pursued, I persisted, and I got to see my MP sometime in October 2017. And that was his first time of hearing about the One Campaign. And I presented, the issue, the campaign that we were working on, why I was even involved, because I don't think that if I went to sit there just to churn out figures and facts and statistics and all that, it doesn't sound relatable. So one code that I cracked in my activism journey, especially when it comes to lobbying an MP, was always to find a way to personalize the campaign, or the stories that are used to push the campaign. Because if that's not there, like, then they can't see why, they should you're even you're they should kind of like represent you in parliament, or talk or write to an MP about, or a higher politician in power about this. So going to see my MP at the time, as part of the One Campaign, and I like the fact that they prepare you, they give you the resources, like some of the questions that you can ask, and if you're struggling, or whatever that it is that you need, like they are always willing to support you, and which is really good. And coupled with my own, like, building my own confidence up until like meeting my MP, and meeting him was, very it was a very interesting experience, because from then I exchanged emails with him, and every other campaign that I worked on with the One Campaign mostly, or even with other charities like Restless Development and others, I write to him, I send him a DM, even on Twitter, because we follow each other. And if he's available, he asks me to come to his office, or if I'm in parliament and I want to see him, or I want him to come to this thing that I'm working on, he can pop in, or if he's not available, he sends his apologies. So working with some of these organizations kind of like helped me to discover the inner passion, or the confidence that I already have, but it just brought it out in a way that I'm able to use it positively to, campaign on the issues that I am already passionate about. So before I even joined the One Campaign, I was interested in what they were doing, like ending extreme poverty by 2030. That is bold, that is ambitious. But yeah, I still want to be part of it, because at the end of the day, it's not always about the easier things to do, because everybody will want to do the easier things, but the very bold and ambitious goals, like, not everybody would want to set those goals, or want to even think about achieving them. So that's me. So before I even join any campaign or any organization to work with them on a campaign basis, I make sure that we are kind of aligned in one way or the other, so that when I join, and I receive the training, the support from the organization and all that, I'm able to it's able to channel my inner passion, my inner interest and confidence, public speaking, to be able to, send out that message across to my MP, send that message across to the UK government, to officials that need to listen to my voice. And then at the end of the day, even if I don't get the desired outcome, at least I still tried. At least history or posterity will remember me for, for adding my voice, because the digital footprint is there. I've been featured in like my local newspaper about several times, when I went to meet my MP, when I went to parliament. And other insta when I went to meet my MP. I think the recent one was about 2 years ago when I went to meet my MP on a campaign that we were working on. When I say we, I mean the one campaign. So now I'm a community leader with the one campaign, which is for people with more advanced experience in campaigning, and also for people in a wider like range, age levels. So the Global Fund campaign is geared towards ending HIV, TB, and AIDS. Sorry, ending malaria, TB, and HIV. And the UK is one of the biggest contributors to this global fund, which is geared towards ending these three diseases. So I went to see my MP and he tweeted about it. Like I said, he's very supportive, and a local journalist caught the tweet and messaged me on Twitter and interviewed me about just kind of similar to what we are doing now. And he wrote about me, my story, what my background, what's kind of fueled this passion. And that was a positive for me, like in the campaign that I was part of. And also to the one campaign as well, it was also well received by them, that I was able to, because they're always looking for opportunities for us as activists to engage with our local media, which is mostly not that easy. But yeah, I was able to do that, but that wasn't my first time and all that. So for me, like my my role as a community leader with the one campaign and the youth ambassador at the time between 2017 and 2019, and my stint with Amnesty International as well on their speaker program. That was a training that I had to go into schools, and yeah, schools basically to talk about some of these global issues like poverty, like gender inequality, climate change, and all that. And also with UNICEF, which was like a UN online volunteering opportunity to be an editor on one of their, I think their global reports, SDG reports that they were working on, I think at the time in 2019 also, I can't remember. Like all this kind of like, it boils down to one thing for me, that these are organizations that stand for something that I can relate with, and I'm happy to align with them, and I'm happy to also get the support that they can actually give me in fueling that kind of interest and passion that I already have in me, and to advocate for a better society and world for us all. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that response. And thank you for highlighting specifically, the campaign and the organizations and exactly how they even helped you. And I like that again. And I know I keep saying I like that. It's because I actually like a lot of things that you were saying, because I very well can relate with them. And I think that a lot of people can as well. So I was gonna say that I like the fact that a lot of these organizations, or when you were talking about organizations, you didn't just solely talk about them in themselves or the name or whatever. You talked about how you could relate to what they do, and how that made all the difference when you go around talking about it, when you're doing the work about it. And so it's important that while we do aim for so many types of organizations that we see because we feel like they're up there, whatever the case may be, we need to ensure that we actually can relate to the values or the missions or the goals that they're contributing to, and that we can contribute to that. Because from what you're saying, it sounds like that makes it all the more better, all the more both pushing for your own career, for your own person, and the things that people do generally, or things that people want to do generally. So that's very important. That's a very important message to be putting out there. So thank you very much. And so now I would like to talk about more about your global activism network, right? And as the co-founder and the executive director of the Global Activist Network, from what I have seen, it seems that you support grassroots activities around the world. And so I would like to know generally what some of the challenges these activists face. So for a lot of grassroots activists that you have worked with or you are helping in your network, I'd like to get an idea of some of the challenges that they face, which I'm assuming would probably be some of the challenges that other people perhaps listen to this calls may be facing with their own grassroots activism rather as well. Yeah, so, and then of course, I would like to know how your organizations can help them address some of the challenges that they are facing.
Right, thank you. So, I'll just before I get to the question, I'll just briefly talk about like how this started, like the inspiration to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been doing this for when I say this, I've been in activism for a little over 7 years now, almost 8 years, and that is like a long time. And having not just done it with or been aligned with just one organization, but different organizations, it's kind of like it's giving me that kind of motivation to say that look, we are trying sustainable development goals by 2030. And 2030 is just 6 years away. 6 years ago seems like just yesterday, but we are in 2024 now. And 6 years time will be in 2030. And so sometime last year, a fellow community me and your part, and I have this idea, and I think you would like it. And so we spoke about it, and after different calls and messages and all that, we came up with the name, we came up with the concept, came up with the vision, and we just got started. Passionate and seasoned activist as well. Lemona, she's from Bangladesh. So we kind of like share that kind of bond. Like we are all from, should I say, lower income countries in the global south. So we came on board and we decided to follow this vision with our passion and our interest to attain the sustainable development goals by 2030, to support activists, grassroots activists, which is like our focus mainly. So coincidentally, or should I say the two of us were also picked or selected by the Gates Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, to attend Goalkeepers, which is an annual event organized by the Gates Foundation to celebrate activists who are making a difference in their community through their work. So we went there and listening to some of the stories that we had there and all that, because we already had the idea before we went in anyway. So as at the time we when we got there, we were already like drafting and talking and all that. So after the goalkeepers, we came back and it fueled that kind of passion that actually there are people out there who are not being celebrated enough. They are actually doing, because I see that a lot of people have the social media presence or use this whole, should I say, NGO or not-for-profit thing as to kind of boost their own egos or just to embellish their achievements or whatever is on social media just to get likes and comments, and that kind of like waters down the true meaning of activism. So there are people out there who do not have any media presence or coverage at all, but they are the real heroes, and they are probably nobody cares or nobody has actually taken the time to look for these people and actually get them on platforms to talk about themselves, to celebrate them. So that's the whole idea, because I remember one of the speakers at Goalkeepers, she's this nurse from, I don't know if it's Malawi or one African country like that, I can't remember, but she literally like is the only nurse midwife within her community, and she does this admirable thing that if you don't have it, you don't have it. Not everybody has empathy, and there are certain things that you just can't teach. So instead of cutting her hair, she uses some of her salary, some of the money that she will use for her own like personal care, to help some women in their maternal kind of like journey, to deliver some of these women, because she works with limited resources, equipment. And to me, that's like a hero. That's someone who deserves to be celebrated. But, you know, thankfully, goalkeepers was able to bring her on board. But I thought to myself, when I discussed this with my co-founder, how many of such of that woman, like like actually there, that we haven't heard their stories, we haven't been able to celebrate them or even support them financially. And that I come back to I come to the challenges these activists face. Most of them has to do with funding, with money. And in as much as money is like it's sort of like in economics, like it's a scarce resource. I I can sort of disagree, because there is actually money out there in this world. The only problem is how to access it. And that is also another topic for another day. So we thought about it this way, that the both of us are activists. The both of us have been doing this for years now, and we have added our voices to all these campaigns. Great. What next? because sometimes I feel a bit this was the word I'm looking, a bit alienated from some of the this issues that I campaign on. So if I'm campaigning, like, let's say for girls education, or should I say for um um what again should I think about? Okay, let's say for girls education, for more girls to get in school. I write to my MP, I blog about it because I also write as well. I get a piece into my local newspaper. Is that it? Personally, what can I also do to support, even if it's just one girl back home to get into school? It has to do with money. So sometimes, even though it's very important to add my voice to some of these campaigns, get people to add their voices, get people to write their MPs, get people to post hashtags on Twitter, that is great. But then what do we do beyond that? Some of these issues that we campaign on, it has all has to do with the money that these people, activists or these grassroots NGOs, not for profits, need to advance their mission. And it's like telling a hungry person, praying for a hungry person that, oh, don't worry, God will provide. Yes, God will provide, but what can I also do to actually help them, help get rid of that hunger? I have to give them money or direct them to where they can get money, like for sure, to be able to not die of hunger. So our whole mission as a network is just to bring these grassroots activists together. We have monthly sessions, we have also Twitter space sessions, and we are currently running this global chainmaker spotlight program where every week we spotlight an activist, a grassroots activist from all over the world, and just to share their stories and for them to also talk about their challenges. And we just started just this in February. So it's still like new and fresh. It's like a baby, a 5 month old baby. But going forward, we have so many plans because we want to also support them, like I said, financially, like, and we are planning on applying for grants. But I've told my co-founders this severally that it's, it's a kind of crazy world out there because, like I said, I think money is not a scarcity problem, or money is not scarce. It's just that how to access it that makes it difficult. But we can't, if we have this mission, we have this goal in mind, we can't depend on others or third parties to believe in our dreams, to support in our vision before we can move. How can we also put our resources together, even if we can support 2 or 3 grassroots activists per year to champion their vision, or to champion their goals, or what they're doing, or to move their ideas from stage A and put it on paper, or build a school for maybe children who are not able to go to school, to support them on their climate action programs, to fight inequality, or some of yesterday we had this lady on our Twitter space from Somalia who talked about women and human rights violation. And it's sad, like the challenges that she's facing. So such a person, how can we support her beyond inviting her to come to the Twitter space, beyond spotlighting her? That is okay, that is good, but that really enough? Like, how can we also support her, like real support? And like I said, it has to do with funding, with money. So maybe she cannot support, but maybe as a network here in the UK or in a more developed country, how can we use our resources, our knowledge to actually help her fund some of her ideas? So if we can't get it externally, then the 2 of us, or as a network, we can come together and support them. So that is what we want to do as organization, to address some of these challenges, which most of the time has to do with funding, because these activists, they already have the knowledge, they have the experience, but they live in countries where they'll probably not get to see their MPs like I get to see my MP, to even hear their story. They'll probably not be seen or heard because, I mean, let's be honest, we all come from Africa and we know how the system is back home. So being over here and being enlightened and being exposed to some of these resources, I believe that we need to do better. We need to help people, some of these people doing amazing things, on the ground, like in places where the media would not care to spotlight these people. That is what we are here for, and that is what we plan to do. And so help us God, we are not doing bad so far. And in the next couple of months, in the next year coming, we plan to do more to actually support them beyond just sharing their stories and celebrating them.
That sounds like a lot of work. So kudos to you. Well done. That is a lot of work, if I'm being honest. And thank you for the work that you're doing. I can imagine that there are a lot of NGOs and nonprofits, grassroots, even the ones that are not necessarily grassroots, even the ones that are sort of trying to or getting up there, they're also looking for access to funds. So that is definitely a big issue. And if that's something that your organization is helping with, then that's a very, very important aspect to nonprofits. And so I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in knowing how they can perhaps reach out to you, probably your social media handles, if there are any, or any email as well. And so you can also just quickly share that before we move on to other questions, how people can generally just, reach out to you, reach out to your organization and seek any form of support that you have mentioned, you provide.
Yeah, thank you for that. So we are Global Activist Network on LinkedIn and Facebook, and on Twitter and Instagram we are at GAN, which is GAN Leadership. And our website is www.globalactivistnetwork, gan.org.uk. Yeah, so GAN stands for Global Activist Network.org.uk. We have our email contact@gangan.org.co.uk. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. No worries. I'll be sure to try and perhaps get that later as well to sort of put when we're putting out this post. So no worries at all. So next question. All right. So translating passion into activism often requires navigating numerous challenges, and I mean challenges on your part and making the tough decisions, some of which you've already told us about, right? And just even the change of your field in itself, it's already a tough decision, right? So I mean, I can imagine rather there are other tough decisions, tough calls, challenges that you have faced in the influential or in the activism sector in your work. And so can you just share some of those difficult decisions that you have made in your career so far and just how you've handled them so, we can also learn from that as well.
Hmm. The challenges, well, I think it just has to do with sometimes just I think I mentioned this briefly in my previous submission, but sometimes just asking yourself like, if what I'm really doing is really making an impact. And I think when I used to ask myself that, I was thinking about impact on a grand, you know, sort of like level or on a bigger scale. Because I think most of the time when we think of impact, we're thinking about large numbers. But up until maybe a few years ago, I had like a rethink that, let's say if I speak at an event, I'm invited as the guest speaker or whatever speaker, and even when this podcast goes out and just one person's life changes or one person is inspired, that's impact. Impact does not have to be 10,000 or 1,000 people. So when I changed my perspective about impact in that way, it kind of made me rethink that at the end of the day, I'm also not doing this. Even, yes, I want to make a change, I want to make an impact, but I'm not also doing this like just because, oh, I want to be recognized for impacting 10,000 people's lives or whatever. Like, because when one person's life changes from what I say or what I speak about, or from even maybe going on my socials to see like what I've done in the past till now, they also go ahead to start something or to do something, then somebody else also gets inspired by them. So like it's a ripple effect. Like it just goes on from there on. So for me, that is kind of what I did to correct that notion that yes, I know sometimes I question myself, or that can kind of like chip in a bit, but I kind of change my perspective or fix my eyes. Okay, like I'm passionate about this. I'm not doing this for likes or for awards or whatever. Even though if I get them, great, but then that is not the primary like goal. I'm doing this because this is something I really want to do, and something that actually makes me fulfilled. So I should concentrate on that. And at the end of the day, know that even if one person's life changes from the letter that my MP is going to write to the chancellor, or if he speaks about my issue in parliament, or if I tweet on my social media and an organization back home retweets, or if somebody comes into my DM to ask me about this campaign, it wants to know more, and all that kind of, should I say, ripple effects or things that can happen as a result of my campaigning or activism, that is enough for me. And some of the difficult decisions, I think it's sometimes just asking myself also that, at the end of the day, have I made the right decision? Sometimes I also question myself because, like I said, I studied economics, and I remember somebody telling me just when I was finishing my degree that, oh, I should apply to LSE. They really have a good master's in economics program, and after that I can work with, all these big economic institutions or financial institutions, and earn, thousands of pounds, and lots of good money at the end of the month. Because at the end of the day, your parents didn't send you to school to just finish and, maybe not bring you money or not be financially stable yourself. But I was like, I take in advice, but then I at the end of the day I sift through and see which of the advice would actually help me, because at the end of the day, my life, and I have, autonomy of what to do and what not to do. So I sometimes sort of like question myself, like, okay, did I actually make the right choice to doing this, or maybe would I have made a better, like, sort of like career path out of doing what I actually went to school to study. But fast forward to, I think, somewhere last year, I got a job in a communications agency in London, and we work with some high level clients and on in like providing their com support for them, and all that has to do with their communications. And I was happy I got that job at the time, because I had been job hunting for close to, and that's some of the challenges that sometimes, people don't really talk about, the reality, or the kind of like the harsh realities of finding a job, or yeah, in this kind of like very competitive world. Even when you have like experience in other, you're doing brilliantly well in, should I say, your chosen career path, it doesn't always translate to having like very easy, or getting like jobs easily and all that. So I had this after almost 3 years, because like I said, I graduated during the COVID era in 2020. So it was a very tough era to even get jobs, because people were even losing their jobs anyway. So I got this job in this communications agency, and I was happy to have gotten an opportunity to bring in income. I was still doing my activism on the side as well. I mean, I still do it. And 4 months into the job, or actually not 4 months, 2 or 3 months into the job, I knew that this wasn't what, like, I was in the wrong place. I was doing something that had nothing to do with what I wanted to do. Because I remember in my interview, all I spoke about was my activism, and how it's affected me or translated into, what I am, or should I say impacted me and all that. And I think that's what sold me to them, and ended up getting the job. But on the job, I realized that what they do has nothing to do with what I actually want for a career path. So I just made that decision. I was just honest with myself, and I was honest with them, and I walked away. Was it an easy decision? Of course not, because I was earning okay money from the job, and I was able to fund some of the things that I do personally and on the side as well. But I'm no longer a fresh graduate from uni. I'm no longer 22, 23, a 23-year or 22-year-old that finished Leeds in 2016. I was almost 30 as of last year, and I was at the point that I knew what I wanted for myself. Like, I was very sure what I wanted to do as like for a career. So anything that was outside that or had nothing to do with that, I do not want to be a part of it. And we live in a very tough world, like world, and a lot of people get, and I can understand why people remain in jobs, relationships, whatever it is, when it's no longer serving them and they have to walk away, because it's always not easy. But I had to put myself first. I had to put my passion. I had to put my well-being first and then, made that decision. And of course, it comes with its positive pros and cons, positives and negatives. But I still made a decision that lots of people would not, especially when I didn't have another offer like on board, like somewhere. But I still did it, and I went on to have time for myself, reflect, and just move on to the next stage and see what life or what opportunities will come forth from then. So I'm just trying to say this and to come back to the point that when it comes to difficult decisions like in my career as an activist or even as a person, I've made a couple, but that I just gave an example was just to say that I have made a decision. I made a decision in late 2016, early 2017 that this is the kind of career path I want to make for myself. And it's not been easy in terms of I've gotten like opportunities, travel opportunities and all that, experiences. But when it comes to should I say paid opportunities, it's not been an easy walk. It's been difficult.
Mm,
But I'm still here doing it because this is where I find myself and this is what I want to do as well, not just where I find myself. So I've grown, I've matured very, very much, and rejections don't bother me that much anymore because it doesn't mean I'm not good. It means maybe this opportunity is not good for me at this time, or it's
mhm,
because that there's something better coming on the way. And even if there's no reason for the rejection, that's fine. It's part of life, and just not let it affect my self-esteem. And because I know myself so well that I will not allow somebody's rejection define me. I
mm,
still keep on going and eyes fixated on the goals that, I want to get to this point in my career where I get to sit at the table. I mean, I've gotten to sit at the table, being in rooms like the goalkeepers, like Bill Gates was there, his ex-wife was there. There was, other very influential activists from the whole world, talking and interacting. I made some good contacts there and all that. So I've already been inside rooms and all that, but I want more because I feel like I have more to offer than I've already done or I'm already doing. So I want to get to that stage and I will get there. But obviously, I don't know how long it will take. But for me, the most important thing is I'm still focused and I'm still here. And whatever, should I say, sacrifices or whatever things that I've let go and all that, it's just all part of the journey. And I don't regret it. And I'm grateful
mhm,
for what is still there for me.
mhm, mhm. Okay, that's good to know. I mean, I think that's important at the end of the day that you can give yourself a pat at the back that regardless of however difficult or tough decisions you've made, you feel like, yeah, you're still going in the right path. You're still happy with yourself. And I mean, of course, I'm sure you already hear this a lot, but even if you were not to, I also, for one, think that you're doing a very, very good job. You're doing very well. And I applaud that the work that you do. And I thank you for doing it as well, because honestly, we need more people doing it. And so we are just about to more or less round up. We've really had a very good conversation. And just to round off a bit, I would like to also know, how you're able to balance this passion that you have, how you're able to make it sustainable, how because at the end of the day, sustainability is crucial for long-term activism. Passion is also very crucial as well. And so what strategies or practices that do you use to stay motivated and avoid burnout and just, yeah, carrying out that heavy load? It must really, really get heavy at some point, right? So how do you maintain steez, as the kids would like to say these days? Or how do you just avoid not, yeah, affecting your mental health and all that?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that. It does. I think no matter how passionate you are about, I mean, when I was in my old job, like I was always like dreading Mondays because
Mm,
I'm like, oh my God, like, another like day to deal with this people, to do this job and all that. I was earning money or salary at the end of the month, but I was dreading it, and which is not good for my mental health. And anything, anything that I have to, moan and complain or dread, like even before the week starts, is definitely something that I know for a fact I shouldn't be in it for any like a longer period of time or in it at all. But even doing the things that I'm passionate about, there is still obviously like days where there are burnouts because you are doing this and people are inspired by you. I have people even on the CL program are part of, writing, saying nice things about me, like, how, I inspire them or how they like this about me and all that. And which is nice to hear, like sometimes, but sometimes within myself, like I'm falling apart. Or like, I'm breaking down, like, oh my God, like yes, I'm passionate about this and I'm translating it into action and people get inspired, but I'm tired. Sometimes I really don't want to do it anymore, or not anymore, but I just want a break, or I just want to be away from all this, maybe for some time. So you're right, like I do face better, but what I do of course is to rest, like any normal human being should do. Like it's okay to sometimes detach, detox, like take breaks from even the things that it's bringing you much joy doing. Like you have fulfillment from doing it. You definitely need a rest and a break, and the rest is not just to rest but also to maybe reflect. It's always good to sometimes as a human, irrespective of what you do, to sit back and just reflect on your journey from the beginning till now, like how far you've come, what you've done, what you could have done better, and going forward what you could do more or you could do less of, or just to strike that balance. So it's definitely very important. And also just to follow people within on social media. I mean, like on my socials, to follow people who are doing similar things like myself, how I can draw inspiration from them, and also read like blogs, journal articles, and maybe books that can also like inspire me as well. Watch documentaries, interviews with people within the same network who are also doing amazing as well. And also write. I like I mentioned, I'm a writer. I have a blog as well. So sometimes I talk about my, maybe if I went to meet my MP and the outcome, what we talked about, if I lobbied my MP, or if I joined a campaign or a protest, whatever it is that I do within my activism journey, sometimes I like to write about it because I find writing a bit therapeutic, and sometimes the things that I don't communicate or I don't talk about, I put it into writing and I just share it with my subscribers and obviously across all my socials, to the world, for people to also read about it and get inspired, or just get to know, what I've been up to in one way or the other. And also sometimes just to talk to people, talk to friends, or talk to people that I'm on the same program, or people who are also activists, and just to share ideas, like what we are both thinking, the challenges that we are facing, and how we could better like overcome them, and moving forward, what our goals, our dreams. I mean, I have conversations with fellows, Kane. He was a youth ambassador with one, and we talk about how we actually want our the experiences that we've gathered so far, to translate into bringing us money or bringing in some sort of income, which obviously, like, because at a point, you do this for, you volunteer for different organizations on different like campaigns, causes, and all that, and you ask yourself, okay, what is the end goal? I mean, I am passionate about this, but I can also combine my passion with my experiences and to bring in income, and not just like doing it for free. Because like it or not, we need money to survive in this world. You need money to pay rent, your bills, and all that. And you doing this for you can't volunteer for the rest of your life. That's the honest truth. So how we always talk about how we can better position ourselves in this very competitive world, to be able to bring in opportunities that will advance our careers in terms of bringing us some sort of income, which is all like kind of like, it makes me think, it makes us think and have all these kind of deep conversations, see how well we can turn our passion into bringing us income. Not And it's not because we are no longer passionate, or we no longer have an interest in actually in making an impact in the lives of people, of course, but we have built ourselves, or we have invested in our personal development to a point where we deserve a seat at certain tables. We deserve, to be paid to speak. I mean, it's something that is right. It should be done. But unfortunately, some organizations kind of take young people, the youth, for granted and feel like, oh, because you're young, you don't deserve. But hey, like, the my digital footprint is there. There's evidence like there. If you read about me, like, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, and I bring in this, and I deserve to be paid to speak at this. I deserve to be paid to be here, and all those kind of things. So those are kind of like some of the strategies and practices that I do to stay motivated, that I'm
Mm,
on a journey going somewhere. I know I'll get there, and also to avoid burnout, that it's okay to rest. It's okay to take a break from some of these things for some time, and then come back and then face it in a maybe slightly different way. Yeah.
mm. Thank you. Thank you for that response. I think the key word there is it's okay to take a break. So it's okay to step back and just of course with the notion that you're coming back, right? So that's very key. And that's very good for us to know. And so finally, I think we are more or less done at this point. I would just like you to just give like maybe one actionable advice to, our listeners who may be aspiring to be activists. I imagine there are many of them, even me, if I can benefit from that advice, please. So I would appreciate it if, just give us just a short, just one, like I said, actionable advice to start and sustain, this activism journey.
Um, how to start? I think you just start from where you are right now, because I think people, like, I think I said this before, that you don't being an activist is not, you don't need certain like key skills or experiences or whatever because when I applied to be part of the youth ambassador program at the one campaign in UK, I don't think the only experiences I had were from university, like the other certain like extracurricular activities that I engaged in and I volunteered in and all that. But when I was applying, they only asked for my interest, why I want to be part of this and all that. And I think it's my passion that got me in that program. So just look around you, because there are so many issues in our society. There's so many things in our society that is not right. So,
Yeah.
so many. And I think in one way or the other, there's definitely something that you care about, or maybe you've not sat down to do that kind of reflection or, introspective kind of thinking, but there's definitely one or two things or a couple of things that you actually care about, that you want to see it like being undone or maybe being advanced further. So that's your starting point. If there's something that you care about in society, like just kind of like start from there. If there are any organizations within your community, your neighborhood, your country, your state, your district, wherever you are, that is aligned with that thing that you are passionate about. If they're on social media, look them up, send an email if maybe they have any program that you can apply to do it. If they have maybe weekly meetings, monthly meetings, whether it's virtually or in person, join them. Make yourself seen, make yourself heard, make yourself available. You can't sit at home and expect opportunities to come after you. It's not. If you have to be at work at 7 o'clock and you don't go to the bus stop at, well, the time that the bus comes, the bus will not come to your room or your house to take you to work. You need to get up, get dressed, and get to the bus stop to get the bus on time to go to work. So we live in an age where there's internet, there's social media, and knowledge abounds. I always tell people that there are a lot of silly things happening on social media. Ignore those things. That's not your cup of tea. Focus on the things that the opportunities, the people that you can follow, or people that are within the same field or industry that you are trying to reach. Those are the people that you should follow them and see if they are speaking at an event, if they are attending any um session or whatever is maybe in your church, in your community, where like those are the things that you should be following, and leave the drama and all that. That is not, that is, because I think as young people we also get a bit distracted because there's a whole lot of information, like overwhelming on social media. And unfortunately, you just need to have that kind of mindset to weed those things out and take the positive things. So like I was saying, like start from where you are, whatever that you are passionate about. Is it climate action? Is it maybe girls' education? Is it like maybe you're into period poverty, like you want to like maybe girls to be knowledgeable about menstruation and how to deal with like whatever it is that you are passionate about, just like if you have to do research, do the research. If you have to reach out to, and sometimes you won't always get responses like when you send the first email, when you call. Like I said, I had to call, send emails, more like be a nuisance to my MP's like team before I got to meet him for the first time. So if you don't persist, sometimes if you don't persist and you just knock on the door once and you're told no, or you don't get an email and a response and you just give up, that is on you. Like it's upon you. Like nobody else will put in the work for you to achieve your dreams. It's you and you alone. So if you don't believe in it as much from the start, if you don't put in the work, if you don't make yourself seen, heard, and available, it's very important. You will not get there. And you can't blame anyone for that. Like, oh, I applied for the job, or I applied for this opportunity and I didn't get in. And so apply for it again the next year. I've heard stories, or even myself, where people just maybe applied for something the first year, they didn't get the second. People got into certain places when they apply for the third, the fourth, the fifth time. And even though sometimes it can be like a lot, that is someone who is persistent. And not everyone is like that. But you need to, because the world is tough, life is hard, and you won't get things on a silver platter. Maybe if you're born into certain families or certain, societies, you get certain things maybe on a silver platter from the, but from where I come from, it's not like that. And I always, think about it when I'm doing certain things. So I don't expect things to be handed over to me like, oh, this is the job or this is the opportunity. Take it. No. I know I'll go through a rigorous selection process. I'll have to call maybe a tad bit number of times. I have to send emails. I have to like harass. I don't mean harass in the wrong way, but you get what the point I'm trying to. I have to like see like make like that kind of impression that I will not stop until I get this, or I will not stop until, and sometimes too I will not get it eventually, but at least I know that I tried. Like it happened to me, I think I think a year ago or so. I moved into another part of Leeds. So I was in a different constituency with a different MP, and getting to meet her the first time was also hard. And I tried to meet her the second time. I called her office, called and called and called several times, and I still did not get to meet her. But I received a response from her office saying that she was very much in support of this campaign that I was working on, which was the East Africa Hunger Crisis campaign. So that I got a response, but I didn't get to meet her. But then they know that I tried. And they actually, when I called at a point, they actually knew my name. Oh, when I explained, oh, is this Gertrude? And I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah, we've received it. So, like, just in the era of social media and with a whole lot of noise out there, make sure that you are very selective about the accounts or the people that you follow. Be very selective, even about the people around you. Sometimes some friends or people, acquaintances or people around can even talk you out. Oh, this thing that you're doing, just stop it. Like they are not going to pick you, or you're not going to be. You need to be careful about the voices around you, the voices that you allow to get to you. Like protect your inner space, or your caucus. Like continue pushing, continue showing up. And if there is no organization or someone doing the same thing within your network, start it. It doesn't matter if you just start with just two people or one other person. Just start. Like sometimes that's all you have to do. And I mean, if you're worried about, oh, I don't have, like, you just sometimes it's people complaining and complaining and complaining. Like, you can just start and, put it on your socials. I mean, if you don't have a social media account, create one, because that will also give you that visibility that you need. And you will definitely, even if it's not like a lot of people like you want from you will definitely get one, two, three few persons who believe in your goal. And that's it. Like me and my co-founder, we just two when we started this global activist network, and now we're a team of four. And for me, it's also quality over quantity. Like it's not enough to have 20, because I've been in groups or different organizations or institutions where we are a lot of people on the team, but people, it's just two or three people that are active. Like, what's the point? Because I would rather not be part of an organization and not be seen or heard than, I would rather be in something and have like be seen and heard than just being there. Oh, we are 20. Oh, other people will do the job. What's the point? Like, if I'm part of something, I would rather be seen and heard. Like, even if we are three, yes, like I wanted to be here. That's why I'm here. Like, so just like focus on quality over quantity. And even if
Mm,
it's just one person that believes in your dream, just go with it.
okay.
And also be careful, the people that you allow around, the people that you allow to get to you, and be careful the people that you engage in on, like, yeah, on social media, and be focused. And yeah, just that's
Yeah.
really it for me. Then
Mm,
yeah, you will definitely flourish with resilience and persistence.
okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those very clear, actionable steps. That was actually a lot for all of us to take in and, put into practice if we decide we want to start, or even in generally anything that we want to start. I imagine all these advices will be useful for any career, any sort of things you want to start, any aspects of life. So thank you so very much for that. Gertrude, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this podcast. Your insights, your experiences, every single one of them have been incredibly valuable. So thank you once again for joining us today and sharing your stories. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to this episode of Inspire Her podcast. So please be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more valuable insights. And if you do want to reach out to Gertrude, to perhaps ask more questions if she would oblige that, right? Or even get to know her better, you can reach out to her on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Gertrude Asumadu. I believe all her names are the same on all the platforms. You can correct me if I'm wrong, of course. And of course, for her global activist network as well. You can Google her and find more research on that. And of course, if there's any more information we need to share in relation to that, we'll make sure we put that out on the post. And so until next time, everyone, do enjoy your weekend and yeah, stay tuned. Bye.